Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for this wonderful invite to come and talk at TEDx. So today's topic is going to be choices versus chance, and so let's begin. So the chance, let's start by the chance. So I had one chance, not one, maybe I thought that was the last chance, and I decided to take that step to attempt suicide for the first time, maybe 10 years, exactly 10 years ago in November 2014. And that was my first suicide attempt where I hit rock bottom. But I am standing here today talking with all of you because I decided that maybe I need to seek help. At that point of time, I called my father and I told him that, see, this is not happening, I'm not okay, I need help. And that phone call changed my life, changed the life of my caregivers, my family, my friends, because the secrets that I held in a little box inside my head somewhere, the little secrets I held all came out on that one particular day where I decided to take that chance to end it all. My parents took me to a psychiatrist and a psychologist, and with all my symptoms that I told them, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and borderline personality disorder. These two disorders are not the same. One is of the mind and one is of the brain. Bipolar disorder is that of the brain where my hormones are a little bit all over the place, where I have extreme mood swings of mania and of depression. So I'm type 2 bipolar, where my depression is more than the mania. Now borderline personality disorder is something about, it's not like a personality thing, like you don't change personalities, but your whole personality is affected. Like you have low self-esteem, you have fear of abandonment, you have a bit of anxiety. Basically, you don't like the person whom you see in the mirror. So these are my symptoms. The first one is depression. So depression is something, what is depression? A lot of people confuse depression with sadness. So I didn't make it to the first show of the movie today, I'm so depressed. But that's not the scene, because depression is something that cripples you. You'll not be able to wake up in the morning. It's so difficult to do basic things like just taking a bath. Nothing makes you feel good. Like sometimes you feel, they tell, no, take a walk, you'll feel better, or read a book which you like, listen to your favorite music. You do all that, but at the end of the day, you still don't feel good. That is when you know that there is something called as depression that has come into you. Next is anxiety. What is anxiety? All of us are anxious, no? A lot of people confuse anxiety with nervousness, like going before an exam. Oh no, will I be able to answer all the questions? That is like, I was nervous to come on the stage and talk. That is a little bit of nervousness everybody will have. Anxiety is more of what if. What if I fall? What if I trip? What if everyone laughs? What is everyone thinking about me right now when I'm talking? What is this? What is that? So that all these what ifs, each sentence starts with a what if that leads to so much of overthinking that eventually leads to panic attacks. Next is fear of abandonment, which I still have, where I feel that everybody will leave me and go. Like right now I have 0 friends. I do not have a WhatsApp group with friends. Like I really don't. I have a WhatsApp group that, you know, your TEDx team created for, you know, bringing all of this together. That WhatsApp group I'm a part of currently, but I don't have a WhatsApp group of friends from school, from colleges, from nothing. Maybe because I'm a little bit antisocial, I make friends very easily, but I cannot maintain them. Because of the fear, I'm a people pleaser. I feel like, you know, they should be given the spotlight all the time. Like, you know, they should be fine. And I put myself down so that, and the question of will you leave me and go? I always ask them all the time that they end up feeling choked and I get clingy, so that creates the fear of abandonment. Next is self-harm. Self-harm is something that is causing physical harm to oneself intentionally so that you feel emotionally better. So that is what is self-harm. Next is low self-esteem. Like I said, I still have low self-esteem where I cannot look at myself in the mirror. Like, I have to get there. I know I'm trying. Maybe my new ambition for 2025 or the motto will be to start falling in love with myself. Next is pretending a mask. The mask which I put on, I had that mask and I had so many layers of it that in 2014, the mask completely ripped apart and now I had to show my true self. Next is the prognosis. So prognosis was medication and therapy. So medication was for my bipolar because I cannot handle the hormones in my brain. I cannot tell them where to fire, what to do, what not to do. The medications were taken care for that. And then there was therapy. There is no medicine to tell me you look good today. There is no medicine to tell me to control the what if thoughts. There is no medicine to tell me you are good enough. That is what therapy is for, where a psychologist sits with you, helps you understand why you're feeling what you're feeling. What is the source of the problem? Why are you feeling anxious? Rather than deal with the anxiety, deal with the panic attack. It's not just dealing with it. We need to find the source. The source, it's not as easy as a blood test where you find the source of your, swelling in your leg to be a reason for diabetes and your insulin is high. But mental health, there is no physical test for it. There is no blood test for it. So it's basically finding yourself, which is done through a psychologist. So basically mental illness is like a train that lands on a parallel line of psychiatry and psychology. So there's no one without the other. So self-harm is not suicidal thoughts. I'm telling from a personal experience because I was addicted to self-harm from my teenage years. For years together, I was addicted to self-harm. And I am sober 1 year now that I have not self-harmed. So it's like, okay, I do not feel great about it, but I do in fact feel a little bit good because I stayed 365 days without self-harming. But even if I do subject myself to it, out of whatever reasons it is, I don't put a lot of pressure on myself because now I get another chance to make it 366 days of being sober. 1 day matters. Suicidal thoughts, I have that 1 day on 2014 November, that 1 day was not the only day I thought about suicide. Over the 10 years, I've had multiple attempts and I have survived each attempt. I decided over the years that 4-5 times were my last chance to get over this pain. But fortunately or unfortunately, now I'm taking it as fortunately I'm here today. Self-harm is not, a person who self-harms is trying to deal with the pain. A person who wants to commit suicide wants to get rid of the pain. That is the difference. So the purpose of life. So I found the purpose of life to be able to rise above the suicidal thoughts, and I decided that I'll become a motivational speaker. It is not in my forte. I used to love to talk as a kid. I still love to talk. So I decided that why don't I talk about my story? Let me put it out there. Initially, there was a little bit of contemplation. What will people think? Oh, you're putting all your secrets out there. You're talking about self-harm. Again, you'll be called as a person who wants to seek attention because self-harm means, oh, you're seeking attention. You're crying all the time. It is all in your head. All these statements will come to me. I assumed it to be that. But then when I gave my first talk, this was in 2018, I gave my first talk and it was to a group of students and I felt that they were all sleeping at that point of time. But then at the end, there was this one girl who came to me and she said, ma'am, thank you so much for coming and talking to me about self-harm today. I just self-harmed yesterday, but I know I can seek help now. The feeling I got that I could change that one person's life, that she sought for help or she will help someone seek help and will not be in the position where I took the last chance or I decided that it was the last chance, that they had a choice, was what inspired me to talk about it. Author and poet, I started writing. So I always carry a notebook and a pen. In this age of technology where we have notes on our phone, the feeling of writing down things itself is different. So whenever I get these what if thoughts, I write them down. And I make sure I have different colored pens. So each time I get a rational or irrational thought, whatever thought it is, I write it down. And then I divide them between rational, irrational. So I'm able to understand, like everything is a mess inside my head. But when I'm seeing it on paper, it looks more clearer. It's like writing for an exam. You write the differences. So you're able to understand it better. Traveler and artist, I love traveling. I go solo trips. People ask me, Don't you get depressed? You're already depressed. Don't you get depressed when you travel alone? Don't you feel lonely? I'm like, no, it's the best, most relieving feeling in the world, because you get to experience so many things, and that is the time you're most aware. You're aware of where you're going. If you're going with your family, your dad is leading, you all are following. But when you're going on your own, you have to be aware of where you're going. Sometimes maps don't work. You have to figure out, you have to keep a landmark. You have to figure out where to go, what to do. And artists, I started doing a little bit of doodling, a little bit of mandala art, putting some random music, singing along with no auto-tune. Just singing along and just doing some doodling makes me feel good about myself. Putting wants before needs, role of a caregiver. So basically, a person who is suicidal, what do we generally go and tell them? Oh, no, don't, you have so much to look forward to. What will happen to your parents? What will happen to your sibling? What will happen to your spouse? What will happen to your children? What will people say? What about their lives? The person who's committing suicide or who wants to commit suicide is not thinking about everybody else. Because the way these statements make them feel selfish. The reason they take that step is because they want to get rid of the pain that they are in. So what do you have to tell them for that? It's okay. It's okay you're feeling like this. It will pass. I'm here for you. I'm sitting with you. Just saying that it's okay, I'm here for you, makes a huge difference. And remind them to put their wants first. Remind them of their dreams. Remind them of what they wanted to achieve. Remind them of their bucket list. There's so much more to do in life than just, be part of those roles that I need to be a good employee, I need to be a good student, I need to be a good child, I need to be a good parent. Whatever it is, I want to be a good parent. I want to be a good child. I want to be the titan of the college. So that is what you have to start. I want rather than I need to. So these are the three basic rules, I believe, of not just survival, of living. Putting yourself first. Putting yourself first, this is a lesson I have to give myself as well. I am not there yet, but I'm hoping I will get there someday, because I am still a people pleaser, but I am sure that someday I will learn to put myself first. I am getting there. There are times I do stand up for myself. Put yourself first. Give yourself credit. Like you tried. It's okay. It's okay to pat in your back. Sometimes, you don't have to get 10 out of 10 always. It's okay if you get 2 out of 10. The fact that you tried. It's better to try and write and fail in an exam rather than not go for the exam itself. Next is life. Life meaning family, friends. Have a healthy inner circle. I don't have many friends, but I have my family and I have my 2 cats. They are my inner circle. They give me happiness. And make sure you have at least 1 meal a day together, where you share, you talk, you have a good laugh together. Bring back that playing a game of carom, playing a game of Uno, chess, whatever it is we used to do as kids. Bring back that joy in yourself, in your inner circle. Work. All of us have work to do. We all want to work. We all have to, we have to survive the rat race, as everyone says. Give your best. There are targets, I can understand. There are targets, but give your 100% as much as you can. Because only you know your capability. Nobody else knows your capability unless you write an exam. That also, if you give your 100%, you get 100 out of 100. If you don't, you may pass or fail. But still, give your best, how much you can do. That is all that matters. And when you're not able to do, when you push yourself and still do it, give yourself that credit. Because nobody is going to come and, honor you on stage and tell, wow, you did great work, unless it is exceptional. So this is my final gyan. First is importance of your smile. God has given us a gift of that perfect curve that every single one of us have, that is perfect. Nobody can do plastic surgery for your smile. They can only do it to your lips. But your smile remains the same, and that is your biggest strength. And you should be the reason for your smile. Not because someone appreciated you, not because someone awarded you. None of those reasons should be there. From your soul, you should smile because you feel truly happy of what you did. Reward yourself. Like I said, if you're not feeling 100%, but you still went to work, you still submitted the assignment, you still attended class, whatever it is, give yourself a small reward. Nobody is going to give you a huge trophy that you attended class, but you can go and you can buy yourself Gems chocolate, 1 rupee eclair, eat golgappa, something that you love. Reward yourself with that. Buy yourself an ice cream and enjoy that ice cream because you deserve it and you are giving it to yourself without any expectation. Next is keep trying. Like I said, I had a chance, I decided to take that chance, but now I have a choice to keep trying. So every time I get a suicidal thought, I have a choice to seek help and I follow to do that. Over these years, I have had admissions, I have had 42 ECTs, and this time last year I was undergoing my ECT session, and it's been 365 days free of ECTs, free of hospitalizations, and I'm very glad that 2024 is ending on a positive note, and I'm looking forward to 2025. So to keep trying and don't give up just yet. You know, yeah, some days may be bad, but there's always a tomorrow. If today you are able to give 0.1% and tomorrow that you will be able to give 0.25%, that is an achievement. That is success. Because success is a word which is so, it's very scary that success is defined by the society that this is success, this is success. This is also a type of success. Because unless you don't give up on yourself, you will find success or success will find you. So just be there for yourself and keep smiling because your smile is the most prettiest and the most handsomest part of you. So thank you so much. It was an honor being here today and thank you.